Now in general I really try and recommend against resealing your aquarium, because the way your aquarium is typically built is you'll have some glass here and then you'll have some glass here in which there is a silicon join, and the way the silicon works is the silicon actually eats into the glass, so eats into the glass there and eats into the glass there, and that's how it creates its join. Now when they're preparing the aquarium, one of the quality differences with the aquarium is how well they prep the glass. So they need to clean the glass very well to make sure there's no hairs or oil or dust on this surface, because otherwise the join is not going to be strong. Try not to have air bubbles in it by moving the glass too early. So if you have a good silicon join here, then you have an extremely safe aquarium. Though if the aquarium does actually leak, then that's a pretty bad sign. It could be that they're not using good enough quality silicon, or it could be that they're not preparing the surface well enough before they're actually building the aquarium, or it could be that they're in a hurry to move the aquarium. They're not giving the silicon long enough to dry, because the silicon is supposed to be 1 mil per day to dry. So therefore a standard 6 mil aquarium in a perfect world would be left for 6 days before it's actually moved, and that will also help to avoid air bubbles. But failing that, if your tank does actually leak, whether it be a worm that's burrowed through, or whether it be there's some hair in the join, or whether it be the surface wasn't prepped properly, then the first thing that you need to do is get a razor blade and cut as much silicon out of the join as possible, because once again silicon doesn't actually adhere to silicon. So you might patch it for a little while, but then eventually the silicon is going to leak again. So what a lot of people do is put a glass rod, and they'll run the glass rod through the corners, and then what that actually does is allow you to create a new silicon seal, and the new seal is here and here. So therefore, because it's very hard to reseal silicon on glass that's already been sealed, because on a molecular level you're never going to be able to get the silicon off. You can clean it off so it visibly is not there, but because it eats into the surface of the glass, you can never clean it off so it's microscopically not there. So your reseal will never be as strong as the original seal. So what people then do is put a glass rod in, and the glass rod allows there to be a new seal between the glass rod itself and the wall of the aquarium, and this will increase the structural strength of the aquarium a tiny bit, but it will actually allow you to reseal the aquarium with relative success. The other thing, particularly if it's a larger aquarium, the other thing people do is put a glass strip. So they'll put a strip like that, which in that case they'll silicon it to the base here, and they'll silicon it here. So once again that's increasing the new surface area for the glass to get to adhere, because once again the silicon eats into the glass. So that's a larger surface of glass in the strip than the rod, and it will give you a higher chance of resealing. So on the inside of the aquarium you've obviously got various surfaces, and if you went and cut all the silicon out to the absolute best you can using a sharp razor blade, then you lay glass rods or glass strips on the inside, then you have a very high chance of repairing the aquarium. And so therefore you also need to sort of work out how much silicon you've added and give it about 1 mil per day for that silicon to actually dry before you refill the aquarium again. And now all this is a hell of a lot of work, and it's much more time consuming than just building a new aquarium. So before you embark on any plans to fix your current aquarium, I would get a price to just replace the aquarium, because the amount of time that you spend sealing it is often cheaper to actually just replace it, because this is a very time consuming thing. So only if you couldn't replace it, or if it's a really custom aquarium, would I ever consider resealing the tank. I'd normally try and encourage replacing it, because a standard aquarium is cheaper than you think.